Good morning, this is Pam with Follow Your Brush, and I'm going to take you through a little bit of a process that I'm doing right now. I'm working on a project for a friend. She gave me permission to paint this picture she had posted recently. There it is. Of a trip that she had taken on the beach, and obviously this is taken at, I believe, sunset, and it's such a beautiful picture. And I asked for her permission to try to paint it. And what I'm going to do with you today is I'm going to kind of take you through some of the steps that I'm thinking and some of the processes that I go about to create a painting such as this, or try to. It's not going to be photorealistic because if you want the photo, I mean, she has the photo. She could always frame that. But it could lend itself to some really pretty features that watercolor can bring out. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I have been working on it already in a sketchbook. This is my Etchr Sketchbook. This isn't actually completed, but this is how far I've gotten on this one. I've worked on it a few days, off and on, letting it dry in between, and then coming back and adding more to kind of get an idea. It's actually not dark enough. The values are not dark enough. It's still pretty light. We always start in watercolor, we start from light to dark. That's when I get into trouble. So I have to try to keep that in mind as I'm planning. This is a sketchbook, so it's 100% cotton paper, but it's not 140 pound. It's like maybe 190 maybe, but it's a great paper and a great sketchbook. I really enjoy Etchr sketchbooks. But this morning, what I want to do for her, in my next attempt at working on this painting, I'm going to take it another step, and I'm going to go this time using 300 pound paper. 300 pound paper is really thick. I think I've shown you that before in comparison to a 140 pound that is not as thick. And what I do, I ordered these in large sheets of 22 by 30. I ordered my other watercolor paper the same way, the 140 pound 300 GSM cold press in large sheets. It's more economical than buying the pads all the time. I do have pads that my family gives me for Christmas gifts, etc., but I do enjoy buying the large sheets. What I do with the 300 pound is that I very carefully fold it in half. Obviously, this is not the 22 by 30 sheet, 22 inches by 30, but this is what I do on the kitchen table. And then I fold it again, very carefully, trying to get a nice seam. And you can see where it begins to create that for you. The nice thing about 300 pound paper is that it's very, very absorbent, and you can paint on both sides. Gives you a longer working time because you have more water, more moisture on your paper for a longer period of time. So here are two other smaller sizes I could do as well. But this morning I want to try on this particular size, and I want to, in the picture, you notice she had, the sun was setting, but it was right in the center. I'm going to kind of put it off center a little bit, and I'm going to use my, this is Graphitone by Derwent. This is a water-soluble pencil. So if you don't like pencil marks on your painting, I like using this because then it will dissolve with the water. Now that was a crummy circle, wasn't it? redo that. What a crummy circle. There we go. So I do have an eraser here. I try not to erase too much on my good paper, and if I do, I use the kneaded eraser. And like I say, this is going to it will dissolve with the water. But that just give me an idea. And then my next thing I want to look for is the horizon line. And in her picture, the horizon line is about 1/3 up the page. So I am going to kind of just sketch that in. I do have this taped with artist tape just to give me some boundaries. But I don't have it taped to another surface because the it's hard enough that it's not gonna get floppy on me. And then the sun, if you noticed, also has a very slight circle as it's going out. That was one thing I wanted to get in my painting. And then you see, even though the painting is dark and it's nighttime, you do see little bits of sunlight coming out onto the water. So I'm going to try to get that as well. Now, I don't want to use masking fluid. For one reason, I have trouble with masking fluid. It's just me. I do own some, but because I have issues with my hands and arthritis and etc., I don't do well with masking fluid. So I prefer to paint around. And so I've learned how to paint around my objects, which is called negative painting. For this one, I am going to use, this is a, the name is worn off, but this was a sable brush that I got from Cheap Joe's. I'm going to go all the way around. This is a set that I got. It says Legend Sable. So this is a natural brush. I got this from Cheap Joe's a few years ago, and it's a great. I'm going to kind of leave this circle around where that sun is eventually going to be. Right now, I just want to get in some basic yellowy orange colors, and I'm going to just really soak this well with the brush. So I am using today, let me put this other brush away. Today I am using my Michael Harding colors. I really enjoy Michael Harding's watercolors, and so that's what I'm going to go into today. And I'm going to start with the light yellow for the sky, and the he has one here that I cannot even pronounce. It's got a long name. It's a yellow benthios something. I don't know. I can't even begin to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. You can go to his watercolor sets and look it up. I can't even pronounce it. But I do like Michael Harding watercolors. I like just about everything. I just like color, as you know. So, all right, there we go. Now, I don't want to overwork it, but I do want to drop in some rosy colors as well. So this one that I'm going into first is Quinn Rose. I'm just going to kind of drop this actually and just kind of let it go. as it, and just let it blend with some of these colors, with this yellow. And it should give me a nice orange blend. Because this sky is like on fire. Let me get some more, just drop some more in here. Just drop it in. Now, because it's so wet, I have the advantage, actually, of letting it flow a little bit. Get some, a little bit more of my yellow. And let these colors dance on the page. But before we dance, let me get some more on here. Because it's so wet, it will dance. And as you know, the color only flows where the water goes. So I have left that area dry for the moment. But let's just kind of watch this and let it run. It'll run it this direction. Just kind of move it around. Let it kind of come back. And as I do it this way, you see it's going around that circle. I can kind of bring it back down. I will obviously later in the game come back and adjust that sunset. But this gives me a nice surface, nice wet surface. See how it's going around this circle that's dry? And that is the way it looks in real life, to a degree. Come back down this way. Let it go up a little bit. I'm not going to do anything else at the moment. I'm just going to let that be. Now I'm going to take a, this is a number 8, also Legend Sable brush. And for the bottom here, for the water, for the ocean, or wherever she was, yeah, I think she was at the Atlantic Ocean, I'm going to spritz. And obviously I'm seeing some little colors come up, so I must have dropped some color. Little bits of pigment. I'm going to get this bottom part. And it's okay if some of that comes down into there. That's all. Oops. I hadn't planned on that, but you know what? There is a streak that comes across here, so let's go ahead and put it in. It's still too wet to do that, but just, you know, what Bob Ross say, happy accidents. Just go ahead and put those streaks in there now. But what I want to do here on the bottom is come in with some of this darker color, and I'm going to, I have a color in these Michael Hardings that I really enjoy, and this one is called Purple Haze, and the one next to it is called Cosmic Blue. I have these over here in my little triangles. I bought these little triangles online, little plastic there. They sell them for people that do beadwork and make jewelry, but they're perfect too. I just put them in with some tape and taped them down inside this Magello palette, and they work great. So the rest of the colors I put in here are single pigment until I get to this end. So all of these are single pigment, which is nice because you can get really pretty clean blends. And then when I get down here to some of these others, then I begin to get the multiple pigments and granulating colors. So it's good to know, because sometimes if they're granulating, they don't necessarily mix well with the others. So that's my thinking in that. And I can let this sit a minute because this paper is going to absorb. But I want to get into this, some of this cosmic blue, which is a really pretty color, and some of his purple haze. And we will just come in with a light wash at this point. And I'm just, move this over a little bit. I'm just going to kind of let this kind of dance across the page here. And maybe leave a little bit to my sky, a little bit of white space there, and I'll come back later to define that better. We have, we're going to have the orange and yellow as it reflects onto the ocean. And these two colors are both granulating. So that's going to give me a nice texture. But I don't want it super dark yet. Got some bubbles there, that's okay. The bubbles will pop. So for right now, I'm going to leave that. Now I see, if you see over here where it's kind of bleeding up into there, and that's okay. I'm just going to drip some more yellow in there. And it's not blooming yet because I'm not getting blooms because this paper is the 300 pound. So it gives you more time to work. See, it is still touching, so it just wants to go up in there. So I'm just going to have to let it. What I can do is kind of let this down a little bit and let that orange kind of come down into the ocean, because it's going to do that anyway. And I get my paper towel and kind of get some of these puddles up. Now this may or may not be my final. More than likely will not be. And you might be asking, like, well, why would you spend time doing this if it's not going to be your final painting? Why did you spend time in your sketchbook if it's not the final painting? Because I have to learn as I go. To learn my colors, what they're going to do, what they're going to do with one another, whether this technique of letting them run is going to work, or if it's going to be a disaster. A couple of colors there. Because with watercolor, you really quite never know what the results are going to be. You have to kind of be willing to play with the watercolor and let it do what it wants to do. And that takes time. It takes time. I'm going to come back now with just some clear water and make a circle inside here. And by doing that, that water is going to push out against my other colors. And as it gradually moves out, it's going to make that ring that was so evident in the original. I'm going to just drop a little bit, just very lightly. I'm barely touching the page. And as you can see, our pencil line is long gone. going to let that, see how that's beginning to move out? The water just makes it move out and makes that ring that was so evident in the sky. I'll come back in here a little bit, add some more water now. And kind of define this coastline of the water a little better. Leave some space for where the light's going to be coming off that sun. And I'm going to have to let this dry. I could dry it with the dryer, but I like for watercolor to kind of do what it wants to do on its own. So I'm going to just kind of drop these in and let it dry for now. And later I'll come back and work on it some more after it has dried. That's one of my big weaknesses, is being patient, letting things dry. So that's it for now. This is how I'm going to go about her painting. And I just thought I'd take you along on the thought process. And if this doesn't work, I will try something else again. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye.